I recently endeavoured to Madeira and it was a great trip. I missed my flight going out, so I ended up in Paris. Whilst I was in Madeira, I approached a Ukrainian girl, which I glanced at briefly, and I saw her in the sun. I personally feel like it made it easier. We talked for it must have been a minimum 10 minutes as we were walking in the same direction. The hotels were in a similar area, and obviously we exchanged information. From that point, which was around 3 p.m. till the next day, probably at 3 p.m., all I had on my mind was that girl, as she was incredible. But the problem arose when I was chasing her and end up actually seeing her after the approach, as the approach that happened was a day before my flight. I approached her at 3 p.m. and my flight was at 9 a.m. the next morning. And I personally felt like that I could have seen her again in that time. She was from Canada, but she was from Ukraine originally, and I felt like it could have been a good opportunity to get to know her. But I ended up keeping it on my mind, planning the perfect scenarios, thinking about how I could perfect the perfect instead of trying to perfect the basic, which is, in my opinion, such a important and powerful thing, which is plan minimal amounts but make it as perfect as possible. Don't try too much, but when it comes to it, try a lot. Plan for the worst but aim for the best, and most of the time it will end up being a better situation. Even if you try and perfect with something or someone that you have a lot of time to spare, you have a lot of time with, and you try and perfect perfect situations, you try and plan it perfectly. Cool, you've planned it really well, but you're going to put yourself under a bit more pressure as you aren't as experienced as other people, older people. Making a scenario perfect, planning it perfectly, has definitely got its downsides. Obviously, you have the plan. The plan is perfect, and you aim for the plan. If that goes well, then it is perfect, which is awesome. But most of the time, that rarely happens. So, a lot of the time, previously, I used to overthink and feel anxious about scenarios that are upcoming. Like my driving test. On the recent video, I talked about in depth about how I struggled with my driving test. And ultimately, it came down to worrying about too many different things. Worrying about how things will go, worrying about what people might say, people's facial reactions, how people might judge you. None of that is going to happen. And if it does happen, who cares? Even if you're with a beautiful girl, if any of that does happen, they won't care the next day. They don't care. The last few days, last week, I have been overthinking about where and how to film videos. And I came to the realization that it's not going to be possible to upload 2 to 3 videos a week with amazing backgrounds. I'm not going to be able to make extraordinary videos, but I can talk about extraordinary things, which will make the basic video extraordinary. And I feel like this correlates to the situation that I had in Madeira, where the girl that I approached was amazing. Yet, thinking about her so much just knackered me. As well as thinking about these videos, it's knackering and it's time consuming. But coming and filming here, which is an easier location to get to, is perfect. And I'm able to talk about much more in a more effective way because I'm not knackered. And ultimately, I feel like that is such a better way of coming across in these videos, which is where I am able to exert all my energy in this video. Prior to filming these videos, I always make sure to shut my brain off, but that has come with experience, and the more that I've been able to film these videos, that has come with lessons that I have learned, which haven't been nice lessons, haven't been enjoyable lessons, but ultimately they've been lessons that have stuck in me, because the lessons that are negative or that are hard to take on the chin are the most powerful ones. And I think in the last few months that has happened to me in abundance. And especially with making this video, the problems that I have faced with this video have been annoying and frustrating, but it has made me realize that I have come a long way and I have learned a lot from the mistakes, and I'm hoping that it comes across positively. Make sure that you are planning, because I have recently been making sure to set alarms, making sure that my calendar is as full as possible so that I don't miss things or not do things. Making sure that you're planning and then executing your plan. I'm sure that the reason you've clicked on this is because that you understand that you have chased women before, that you have chased girls that you have liked before. But let me know in the comments what you have made from those scenarios, what has happened to you with those scenarios where you have chased them. What emotions do they give you? What have you gained from attaching towards them? Men, in my opinion, have a very strong attachment style towards women. And that is definitely true, as I have read the book Attached. And it is a brilliant book, talking about how people can attach. And it comes across in the book that a lot of the time it is men. But obviously there's nothing wrong with that. But chasing women isn't attractive towards them. They might not say that, but deep down it isn't attractive towards them. Make sure that you put in minimal effort. The minimal amount of effort that you put in, perfect it. Make it as perfect to them as possible. And that is the most attractive thing, personally, that you can do. And they might say that in that moment. They might actually agree with you after. They might message you saying that. So this video is truly based around this one thing, which is perfect the basic, but the minimal amount of effort that you put in, make it as perfect as possible. Good luck. Remember this video in the future. Come back and watch it if you need to, it's fine. It's going to be here. Make sure to subscribe, because it will help me to produce exciting videos like this. Subscribe, because the value that you're getting is beyond what other people talk about. and explain. So I really appreciate it if you are able to do that for me. I hope you can understand the way in which I make these videos, and I hope they correspond with you. Maybe you've had similar scenarios and situations with people that you are able to resonate with. And these videos have been funner to make as they have been easy to make. But ultimately, I feel like that I want to perfect them even more, because it feels like that. It feels like it feels like that. It feels like that. It feels like I aren't. It feels like I am not trying as hard to make them, but ultimately I am. But they're going to be more powerful. So if you stick to the end of this video, understand that you are above average, because the average attention span is not as long as this video. TikTok videos are like 7 seconds long, and people aren't able to finish a TikTok video. So if you're able to finish this video, you're above average. You're better than everyone else. And if you are here, have a good rest of your day. Peace out.